Hello, 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 and welcome to the first of hopefully many stream days here on YouTube. A few of us have sort of joined forces together to see if we can pull together an event where you bounce between each of our channels and learn some things along the way. So that's kind of a gist of what we're going to talk about over the next few hours. Stick around with us over the next few hours, and in the next 15 minutes or so I'm going to chat about what's ahead, and I'll kick things off talking a little bit about planning productions and shows and all that good stuff. But yeah, we got loads of things to chat about. But first of all, if you're never been on this channel before because you came here via the stream day thing, then I'm John Barker. Here to Record is my YouTube channel, and I make live streams and videos about video production equipment. You can let me know if you hear and see me just fine as the day goes on, but otherwise I think audio sounds fine from here, so that's good to see it coming in that way. So what can you expect from the next few hours of uh, back-to-back live streaming? Well, if you haven't already checked out the website that we put together for this whole thing, it's in fact, I guess I could chuck it in the chat just in case you haven't seen that already. Let me see here. There it is. It's Stream Day. Here to record.com/stream day, and on there you can get all the details about what we plan to do over the next few hours. You might have seen this website already. You might have signed up for the list of details, which is great. I sent an email out yesterday just to remind you. But the idea being that I will kick things off now. It's 5 o'clock ish UTC, and each of us will have about 30 minutes on our session before we pass it off to the next person. So I'm going to kick things off here, chatting, like I said, about Google Docs, Google Sheets, event planning a little bit. It's not going to be a super in-depth look at any of that stuff because 30 minutes is pretty tight. Happy to take any questions as well if they pop up. And if you put here to record on there, it'll be a lot easier for me to see on my end here. So I'm going to kick things off with that for the next 30 minutes. Then we have Photo Joseph. You'll head over to Photo Joseph's channel after that for the next 30 minutes to talk about cameras. We'll have Doug delving deep into audio related things. Happy to see someone took on the audio task, something I know barely this much about, just enough to be heard, which it seems like I'm being heard, which is great. Next after that we have Petra talking about switchers, David talking about the control of your show. Then you're back on my channel again after that, and I will talk about graphics. Promise that I won't do a hard sell on H2R graphics. I'll just be chatting about graphics in general, and maybe I'll throw in H2R graphics here and there. We'll see. After that, we have Ryan, who's going to be, it's going to be 6 a.m. his time because he's based down in Sydney, Australia. So he's getting up super early to give you a presentation or a chat about guests, bringing guests into your stream. Then over to Aaron, who's going to talk about streaming platforms, destinations, things like YouTube, and I believe he mentioned Owncast as well as something to see. So yeah, he'll talk about that, and then we'll wrap things up at the very end, which we will talk about a panel discussion with all of us, and we'll head in there. Things are still happening behind the scenes to set up that panel discussion, but I appreciate that Jonas, I'm just going to throw his name out there, he's doing a lot of good work to get that working on time. We've been working on it throughout the day, and he's going to continue to work on that before the panel discussion, which doesn't happen for another few hours. So, we're good. After my stream, I'll take a little break, and then we'll get back to that. This has been the fun part about doing this whole thing with a bunch of pros who do this already, where certain pieces of the shows you'll see I put together, some pieces other people put together, and it's all come together to create this day of stream day. It should be fun. So what's it going to be like for you as the viewer? Well, you managed to make your way to my stream, which is great. Good start. We're going to be testing out what I would consider an experimental feature on YouTube, because it's been a little bit weird already in our testing, but we'll see how that goes. The idea being that whenever I end my stream here in about 25 minutes, I will press the button, and in theory, what will happen is if you're watching here on YouTube, you'll be bounced over to Photo Joseph's stream, which will happen right after mine. So in theory, that's what's going to happen. In reality, we're not really sure what's going to happen. So I'm interested to hear how that goes whenever the time comes. I'll press stop and you'll bounce over to Photo Joseph's, and then we've all set up each of the chains to get to the next person. So ideally, we'll all stop our streams and you'll find your way to each stream, which is great. What else did I want to make sure that I covered before I launched into anything else? Yeah, so I'll talk for, I've already been talking for like 5-6 minutes now, rambling on, but I'll talk until about 28 minutes past in my stream, and you'll go over to Photo Joseph's stream, and there'll be like a little 2-minute-ish buffer, so you can, grab some water or coffee, and maybe I need to grab some coffee too, because it's going to be a late night in the office here, but you can grab some coffee while the next 2-minute countdown happens there. Okay, was there any questions or anything that popped up there before I went any further. Love the countdown timer animation. Thank you, Ben's Tech Lab. Of course, that was H2R Graphics doing the graphical part, but I can see why you said that, because it was your suggestion to do the little dancing thing here. Looks good, sounds good. Excellent, excellent, excellent. Happy to hear that. Just let us know along the way if you have any issues or you can't see us well or hear as well. We're always happy to fix those things. Alrighty, so what I wanted to chat about a little bit on my kickoff event here is the idea of the kind of somewhat might consider dull part of the whole experience of live streaming, which is planning things, putting things together. It's something I've done for clients before, but today I wanted to focus mostly on doing it for YouTube and pulling together days like this stream day or panel discussions that I've had here on the channel before, and some of the tools and things that I've used for that. So the first thing that I will launch into is pulling together a panel discussion. We did one recently on NAB, where a few of us jumped in on the Monday, the second day of NAB, and we were all virtually following along, but we joined each other on a live stream, and then everyone connected to my studio here, and I used vMix to send that out to everyone else. And really what I found the most useful starting place for any production that I've done is to have one golden, trustworthy place to put all of the details that people need to follow along. We tend to use things like Discord to chat about the event, making decisions and things like that. But whenever the time comes to lock in a decision, then we head over to a tool. And I found so far one of the best tools for that purpose has been Google Docs and Google Sheets, which I'm sure many of you used before for your productions. What you're looking at here is the very simple NAB. Apologies that I should have put it on dark mode. I just couldn't find that setting. I always forget where that is in Google Docs. But this is the show notes that I put together for that show. Now, all of these vMix links, don't worry about those. They don't go anywhere anymore, I don't think. So you can, I don't know, you can try them if you want to, or don't. It's up to you. But the idea behind this document here is just, this is the one place that people should go to find all of the information they need to know, all of the links they need, and I've changed the permissions since then, but at the time, anyone could edit this document because I only sent the link out to the 5 people that you see here, those 4 people there, plus myself. And I've always really keen to have that one place so they can jump in and say, where's the link to the Zoom call, or where's the link to the vMix connections, which you can see here. And then another one that's pretty important to add is like, where is the live stream going to be at? If you want them to be sending it off to their own social media or something like that, you want to give them as much details as you can. In fact, I made a few assets for this live stream so that everyone could do that. But back to the NAB discussion. Did I get the date right? 2022-04-25. Yeah, this was that's today's date you're mentioning there, Morton, in the comments. But this is an old show that we did, so it's not today. Anyway, or maybe you're right. Maybe it was the wrong date. It doesn't matter. Anyway, then next up is the schedule outline, sort of what they can expect. When do I want them to be there? When will I be around on links? And apologies if you can hear the rain in the background. It's really kicking off here outside the studio. When will I be on the link? When should they come in? What's going to happen? When do they need to be there? And time zone that they should be there at. And then finally in this document, we didn't have many things to add, but finally in this document, I wanted to try to structure the conversation as best as possible. Whenever you're live and things are just happening fast, you can very quickly run out of things to say. In fact, I've planned this very production as well, so I have things to say. But in here, I wanted to put some links and things that we would discuss, and it doesn't have to be an exhaustive list, but as a place that I put in what I will talk about. And then even more importantly is some discussion points of things to actually discuss. So it's all well and good to have a link to the Blackmagic Cloud Store there. Click on that link, visit it, look at the webpage and chat about it for a minute or two. But if you're trying to make this last over 60 minutes, it's a long time whenever you're live. In fact, the clock is right there on this show and I'm watching it very intently. So time goes slow sometimes when you're live, and time goes really fast. But either way, it's good to have a structure of what to talk about whenever you're live. And in here, I wanted to just put some discussion points. Like if I realized that everything was drying up, no one was saying anything, nobody was really sure what to talk about, then at least we'd have some questions that we could agree on in the before the show, and then ask those questions during the show. And anyone was welcome to throw these things in there and contribute to the show as well. So that's in terms of like show docs. Having one is, even if it's a simple one, it's better than not having one at all, I find, for almost every production. In fact, what a lot of customers and clients fall for is the thought of doing it all via email, where you make all these decisions and there's no real one solid place to keep all the notes. But just having one document that everyone can edit and everyone has access to, I find helps more than anything for most of these productions. And in this case, whenever everyone is just giving their free time, trying to make it as frictionless as possible for them is super important. We will continue this little chat about show planning, but before we continue that, I wanted to ask your thoughts on Stream Day and get you in on cloud interactions and throw out a few polls and stuff before we jump into the next little section here. So take out your mobile device if you're not watching on that, or if you are, you can always go to this link here, cloud.h2r.graphics, and you can enter that code there. Or you can scan the QR code, which brings you straight to the site. And then from there, I can ask you some questions. And I will use this now, as you can see, and I will also use this at the end of the panel discussion later. So both ways, it's good to have the same link up on your mobile device or on your phone. And then I can ask you some questions. And in fact, if you have already visited there, which I can see some people already have, you can answer the first question. I agree that, or I will say that I'm being a little bit cheeky in the questions, in the polls. I'm sort of directing your answers just a touch. Apologies if you missed that, but I can show it to you again here, and you can still scan the QR code. So the question that is currently live is, how are you feeling about today's event? We're pretty excited about it here. We've all been chatting on Discord about how our event is coming together, how each of our streams are coming together. So I'm hoping that you're excited too. I didn't give you many options. I didn't give you many negative options either. A clap, which is like, I'm excited. A sparkly emoji, which is sort of like, I don't know, magical. The event seems magical. And then the final one is, I guess, a person with sunglasses. You're thinking the event is pretty cool. It's just a bit of fun. Just to get us kicked off. I have some responses coming in, which is great. In fact, I'm just going to jump to the. I'll let you all answer that, and then head to the other show doc that I wanted to show off today. So that one is for this very production happening right this very second. I'll make it as big as I can. So for this Stream Day, I didn't actually make a Google Doc with links and all that stuff. What I made instead was this Google Sheet, because I figured it was very time-based, this whole production. In fact, figuring all the time codes or time zones and making sure they were correct was probably the hardest part of the whole show. Maybe that's an overstatement, but I think so. I just wanted to make extra sure that we all scheduled exactly when we should. So the idea behind this document, I can scroll in a little bit here just so you can see it. Can I scroll in? Yeah. So the idea here being that each person in their time zone would show up here so that we're all very confident about when we should be where. I also quite like, I never really used to do this much, but I've started like throwing in some imagery to my show rundowns now, where applicable. I have seen some clients do some very interesting things, like if the person's coming in over Zoom, there's a big Zoom icon there. If the person's coming in via Teams, there's a team icon. I don't know. It can get very messy in there very fast, but I think one or two columns with some imagery can be really helpful to really see what's happening. So for this one, I opted to throw in some profile photos so we can all see, when our part is happening. And then the idea behind this document was not something that I created in its entirety, but it's something that I started, and then everyone could join in and collaborate together and work on it. That way, it wasn't a lot of work for me to decide what each person is going to talk about. I just suggested things. What's also really helpful with a document like this is putting in all of the stream links there helps me as the sort of show planner, in a sense, to keep everything in one place and to use those links and put them on the website over on the other side. So, just a big area for us all to throw in our thoughts. Each person could write their own description. And then from there, below that, you can see we have a few links of important assets. Now, there are a few missing from here. I just removed those because I didn't want to give away all the links to all the assets of things that we're using in today's show. But that is a look at some of those. I think someone had a little comment there. Yeah, Eric here. Using non-text images is a great idea for easy recognition in a show notes doc. Definitely. I think so. I think it really helps just to see certain things to make extra sense of them. But one of those, it's definitely something to use sparingly, I think, as much as possible. And then from there, like I said, I had a few links below of things I really wanted everyone to have and open on their end. Which brings me to the next part of the planning process, and that is keeping everybody on time. Now, the timing for an event like this is, well, we're going to find out if it works. Right now, I've given everyone a link to Stage Timer, which I'll show you in a second, and then we can all use that as the main source of truth about how long we have left in our talks and when we should be wrapping things up. I think it'll work well as long as everyone has it open, which I'm assuming they all will. But I can take a look at that now. So I put together this Stage Timer little room, I guess is the word. Yeah, room is the word. So in here, what I'm able to do is set up a bunch of times. And if you haven't used this already, I recommend giving it a shot. If you're also in the Discord server, you can find the developer in there, Lucas, who's doing great work on this. So I've set up all the times in here, and then we can see when everything's supposed to start. I have about 11 minutes left before things... Actually, that's not true. That 11 minutes includes the 2-minute turnover time, so I only have about 8 minutes left to chit-chat about this. But what I really wanted to do in this instance was just find a place that we can get all those times, and I don't have to remind people that they have 2 minutes to go or anything like that. This is doing the work for me, which is what I really like about Stage Timer and many of these Stage Time apps. But this one is pretty great, and I can see some more devices pop in there. Maybe you saw the room code in your joining, which is perfectly fine. And yeah, what was it? Christopher here saying that Aaron is going to need that timer. Exactly. If there's anybody that everything will be fine. If there's anybody that we're going to pester, I'll keep my finger over the flash button for whenever Aaron is chatting and write him a little message here. So that'll keep us all in time, hopefully. And I think now what you've seen is the three main ways the 2 ways that I'm going to try and keep us all on our time during this is the timer, Stage Timer, and then the Google Doc as well, to keep us going during the whole thing. Let me see. That's great. So I've still got a while to go. If anybody has any questions that pop up about today in general, I can take some of those questions now, or we can save any of the other ones for the final panel discussion. But what I do want to share with you is the next interaction. So if you're on that link still that you scanned the QR code of before, which was this one, then just in case you didn't see it before, I've just asked a new question. So what are you most looking forward to during stream day? So you can pop up your phone again, give things an answer, and then we'll see what kind of answers you have here. We have answers coming in now, which is great. Let me see if I show that and remove that. So like I said, my question was, what are you most looking forward to Let me see if this works. This is very much an experimental feature here on the service, or I could just read them out here. I'll just read them out. So, Alexander from another camera channel is saying, everybody's expert knowledge. Looking forward to that, which is great to hear. Photo Joseph says, looking forward to succeeding on today's event. That's pretty fair. I am also looking forward to that. And then a couple of other people here saying they've got looking forward to some tips and insights, the panel discussion, and then how you use this technology, says Jules. Exactly. I think that's one of the things that I'm mostly interested about on this whole event, is to see how well the YouTube technology bouncing between channels works, and if it works at all. I'm interested in seeing how the stage timer pulls us all together. In fact, I just wanted to show you this this shot of my desk here, where I've sort of kept all of my notes in place, and I'm trying to run the Q&A on the screen here. I've got some chat over here on this screen, but what you can see on the side here is my stage timer output, which is counting down every second that I have left to go. I've never really done that kind of close watching of a timer whenever I'm live before, so it's interesting to constantly being distracted by a clicking clock right below my eye line. Apologies, let me bring that question back up again there, just in case you didn't have a chance to answer it and I took it away too fast. But yeah, I think that's what I'm looking forward to too. And then the panel discussion at the end, just like an anonymous person answered there. Looking forward to that. I think that will be fun. If all 7 of us are there and chatting about what we felt about each of our sections, what went well, what maybe didn't go as well, and really the idea there being, how do we improve this for future iterations? Because I think that unless it goes terribly for some strange reason, then we have good intentions of doing it again. But we're also keen to improve it if we can and do things better in the future as well. So, we'll see if that works out, which I'm fairly confident it will. Question here. Eric says, your informal show notes versus formal run of show in live event terms, do you find there's a difference? Definitely, I find there's a difference in my informal show notes versus a formal run of show. I think description is usually what timing, specifics, and description are the two things that set those apart. So the run of show that I do for like my live show, which I did on Monday this week, it looked like this: a selection of bullet points on a piece of paper, old school piece of paper, because that's all I had in front of me to make this last minute decisions about what I was going to talk about. Let me just have some water. So that's what I do whenever I'm just running these things. I make a list of all the ideas that I'll have, and I'll just vamp along them and see how long that lasts. But whenever I'm running or setting up a production for somebody else, I really want to be specific about times at that moment. So how long is that video? It's 2 minutes 31. Okay, let's put 2 minutes 31 on the schedule. And how long do we want this whole section to be? It should be 10 minutes. And a big reason for all of that specificity, which is a word that I don't know why I went that way, but the big reason for that is just so you know, is there enough time to do the other things that you want to do while that section is happening? So do we need 10 minutes for these 5 people to come off stage, get new mics, and then be ready for the next panel discussion or something like that? It really helps to know what's going to happen. Another little annoyance that I have whenever I go to events is if they're not heavily planned in terms of time, then often they just run over at the end of the day. And I really like to be told what time I'm going to be at a place and pretty much exactly what time I'm going to leave that place. Otherwise, I get a little bit worried about, I don't know, I'm always getting on trains and stuff, so I'm always like checking, okay, I was supposed to leave here like 10 minutes ago. When is the next train? So some of this is just my issue rather than anybody else's. In the Mix wants to know, will these be available for replay? I assume you mean all of these live streams. And yes, we never actually publicly, or we never agreed to each other that we do this, but I'm assuming that we'll all leave them on our channels. Certainly anything on my channel I'll leave up on replay, and I'm sure everybody else will too, because I mean, it's not just a live event or anything like that. So you can watch it live, but you can also watch it after the fact, which you might be watching right now. Let's see. Chris W., what platform are you planning on for the panel chat Zoom ISO? We are setting up Zoom to be the place that the panel chat is happening, and then Jonas is using his special cloud workflow skills to push all of those feeds around AWS in some separate cloud instances, and that way we can do 1080p pinned all in the cloud, all 7 people. He does this basically as a business, so he's very kindly offered his time and efforts to do it for us on this show. So it is Zoom based, but it's not Zoom ISO, not that service or that application. Another camera channel. Oh, I don't have much time left. Another camera channel says, do you have a backup plan if someone's stream section goes horribly wrong? Nope, no backup plans. 30 minutes is all you have allotted, so maybe we'll just say, okay, join us all in 30 minutes at the next stream. But nope, we don't have a backup plan. For the panel chat, I have created a 7-up layout and a 6-up layout. That's the only backup plan I've set up, which is if one person can't show up for that, then there's a 6-person layout. I'm going to save any more questions that have come in there at the end. I appreciate the questions, but I will save some of them. I'll grab some of them for a bit later in the day, and I will see how it goes. And yes, Guy Cochran says, thank you, Jonas. Absolutely right. Thanks to Jonas. We'll thank him later as well. Okay, I don't have much time left. So what should happen now is I will go to my other camera. I will hit end stream, and in theory, you will be brought over to Photo Joseph's channel. So good luck. See you at the panel discussion. Have a great day here on stream day, and good luck to Photo Joseph. Over to you.